Before we talk about solutions, we have to clear something up, because one of the biggest reasons bullying escalates and repeats isn't the bully themselves, it's misunderstanding. Most parents don't fail their children because they don't care. They fail because they're operating with the wrong model of what bullying actually is. So let's reset the frame. Bullying is not a single incident. It's not one comment. It's not one argument. It's not one bad day. Bullying is a pattern of behavior repeated over time, where there is a power imbalance. And that power imbalance can be physical, it can be social, it can be emotional, and very often it's subtle. This is why so many parents say things like, but the teacher said it was just teasing. They said it was mutual. They said kids will be kids. And technically, those statements can all be partially true, while completely missing the point. Because bullying isn't defined by intent, it's defined by impact and repetition. A comment said once might be teasing. The same comment said every day starts to become identity damage, and identity damage is what changes children. So this is where parents start to panic, because when your child is hurting, your nervous system goes into protection mode. You want to fix it, you want to remove the pain, and you want to stop the threat. That instinct is natural, but instinct is not always strategy, and this is where things often go wrong. Parents often react in one of three ways. The first is minimizing. You tell yourself, they'll toughen up, it's part of growing up, or I don't want to make a big deal out of it. This often comes from love, from wanting your child to be resilient, but what the child actually hears is, this isn't serious enough to be helped. And that can actually deepen their silence. The second reaction is emotional escalation. You feel anger, you feel fear, and you feel guilt, and you want to confront the school, the other parents, sometimes even the children involved. And here's the hard truth about that. When a parent escalates emotionally before the child is prepared internally, the child often feels less powerful, not more powerful. They actually feel rescued, not strengthened. Now, the third reaction is removal. You change classes, you change school, you change environments. Sometimes this is necessary, but often when removal happens without skill building, the pattern just repeats later. New school, new faces, same dynamic, and bullying follows your child like a dark cloud. Parents are then left thinking, why does this keep happening to my child? This is where we need to talk about bullying differently. Bullying is not random. Bullying is predictable, and it follows patterns of insecurity, power seeking, group dynamics, and perceived vulnerability. And because it's predictable, it can be trained for. And this is where most mainstream advice falls short. Schools focus on rules, parents focus on reassurance, but neither focuses enough on preparation. So let me give you an analogy that makes this really clear. Think about teaching a child to cross the road. You don't wait until they get hit by a car to teach them what to do. You prepare them. You say, stop, look left, and look right. Wait. And you repeat it. You practice it, you test it. You don't stand there every time they cross the road for the rest of their life. You empower them. Bullying needs to be treated the same way. But instead, we often do the complete opposite. We wait until it happens, then we panic, and we intervene emotionally. Then we hope it stops, and the reality here is that hope is not the strategy. Preparation is. Now, another uncomfortable truth is this. Your child may not tell you they're being bullied, even if you have a great relationship with them, even if you talk every single day, even if you told them, you can tell me anything. Silence does not mean safety. In fact, silence comes from shame. It comes from guilt. It comes from a belief that they should have handled it themselves. Children often think that I should be stronger, I should stand up for myself, I don't want to disappoint my parents. And so they carry all of that, sometimes for months and sometimes for years. I've worked with families where parents only found out after the damage had already set in. Anxiety, low self-esteem, withdrawal. Now, this is not about blaming parents. This is about understanding reality. And the reality is this. Bullying doesn't just affect the child. It affects the whole family. It affects how parents sleep. It affects how siblings interact, how tension shows up at home. Now, this is why the emotional state matters more than you think. Because when parents react from fear, children absorb that fear. When parents react from anger, children just feel unsafe. And when parents react from a calm clarity, children actually feel anchored and grounded. And that calm clarity is what I want to build here with you, long before your child ever experiences bullying. And it starts with this one mindset shift. Bullying is not something you eliminate. It's something you navigate. Just like disappointment, just like failure, just like conflict. Now, this doesn't mean you accept it. What it means is you prepare your child to move through it without being defined by it. Now, here's another truth that's hard to hear. The severity of bullying does not always equal the severity of trauma. Two children can experience the same words, the same actions, and come away feeling completely different. Why is that? Because trauma isn't about what happens, it's about how equipped the nervous system is to process it. Now, this is why "it wasn't that bad" is never a helpful sentence. They'll get over it, often delays healing entirely. Your child doesn't need you to judge the experience or the severity of the bullying. They need you to help them process it and respond to it. And this is where the idea of bullying as a transition becomes powerful. A transition implies movement. There is a before, there is a during, and there is an after. And the question isn't, how do I make this disappear? The question is, how do I make sure my child comes out the other side stronger, not smaller? Because bullying can fracture a child's character, or it can forge it. The difference is guidance. Now, before we move on, I want you to pause this and reflect on this one thing. Have you been reacting or preparing? Have your conversations been focused on how could they do this, or what can my child do next time? Now, there's no judgment here, just awareness. And if this reframing already feels different from what you've been told before, subscribe now, because in the next section of this video, I'm going to walk through the uncomfortable truths about bullying, the ones that people avoid, and explain why facing them is the fastest way to change outcomes for your child. So, take a big breath, because we are laying the foundations. I just released a full no fluff workshop breaking down everything I know about bullying, the uncomfortable truths, the mistakes that parents make, and the exact 6-step system that has helped thousands of children transition through bullying, the stuff that actually works. So, if your child is being bullied, or you want to make sure they never become a victim of bullying, then watch the full video. Make sure you subscribe, because this is the work that changes your child's life.